Hello, everyone. Listen, I had the honor to speak with Pete and Roxy the other day regarding med beds and ETs. This topic, it's pretty far out there, and I would not be having this discussion if I had not first had a med bed healing session with them. It was truly amazing. It really helped me out. It continues to help me out. This modality addresses things like childhood trauma, emotional, medical, mental issues of all sorts. So it's really something to look into if you want to feel better, have better wellness. So without further ado, let me please introduce to you Pete and Roxy, here to help you raise your vibration. Oh, and this is a virtual session, so anybody can access this session if they're interested, this modality if they're interested, from anywhere in the world. So I hope you enjoy the talk. Thank you so much. It's truly out of this world. So see ya.
And little bit by little bit, we were led to the med bed, and then they started saying, okay, guys, you're ready to get this out and start bridging the worlds, bridging Earth and the galactic for awareness for the planet, so we can start educating and, expanding the consciousness of individuals on the planet.
A lot of them are stuck. They want a better connection to the divine. They want to feel more in flow in their day-to-day, and they don't know how to do it. They're sitting there going, maybe this galactic connection is the answer that I've been looking for. I've always felt like there was something more out there. I always felt like they were trying to get through to me or connect to me, but I didn't know how. And this is where we're sort of showing them how to bridge that gap and to connect. Can you see how removing that density is then going to help at an energetic level? You feel better. You don't have to positive think. You just are positive. And then, of course, the vibration that you are means that you can then plug into higher vibrational information.
There is many starships around the globe at this time, many extraterrestrial beings of high frequency ready to help connect and heal people. We're not the special ones. Everyone can definitely do this. It's just around, focusing on your inner temple, connecting to your heart, getting out of our brain, moving into our heart space, and having the desire to want to elevate your consciousness and become enlightened, become elevated with your frequency.
So getting the vibration up is what the medbed experience sort of helps you to do. But this is why it's like a key in helping you in your spiritual awakening process. You can learn the process. If you do the work on yourself and learn the process in conjunction with it, you could use it to help your friends and family.
Med beds is kind of your focus. Maybe you have other modalities, but I'm kind of familiar with you and your association with med beds. What did you do before, and what brought you to this place?
You can go.
Well, before, and we've done lots of different things. There's no short answer. I basically have never had a normal job where I arrived at 8:30, 9 o'clock and worked till 5 o'clock. I've always been self-employed in one form or another. Initially, I was in the family business, which was running stress management and meditation type weekend workshops for people all over the world. So I would travel extensively talking about utilizing the alpha and theta levels of the brain to be more effective in business, in study, and then, of course, raising your energy, working on your aches and pains, relieving stress-related conditions, that sort of thing. As I went through that and the journey of life, I sort of ended my first marriage and did a complete shift in what I wanted to do. And I did not want to travel anymore. I did not want to go away for work. I just really then turned to starting up another business in the environmental management space. And that was around the time I met Roxy, and she just had a regular job in an insurance brokerage. And after she was around me, an ex-motivational speaker for 2 or 3 years, I said, let's quit your job and start the own insurance brokerage. So we started that and built that up. and successfully sold that and did quite well out of that and moved our life to online sales. And we were selling things on Amazon and went right down that path of getting things made in China, shipping them to America, selling people beach products. So we loved all of that. And then we had our spiritual awakening. And we went to Costa Rica. We did 4 nights of ayahuasca in the jungle and fully just came back and went, you know what? No more service to self. It's time to step up and go into service to others. And that's how Awakening Education was born. And we just started. We had no idea what the outcome was going to be. We just knew that we just wanted to be of service to others, and we just knew that this message to help people realize there's so much more inside them that they realize, and that they're not just an individual operating, they're more like a collective, they're like a wave in an ocean of life, and they're not an individual at all. And to rediscover who you are and that spark that's within is sort of like that the mission to help people realize that is sort of what our mission is now, but sort of more working on people who are almost awake already. It's not so much about waking people up, but taking the people who are awake, who are light workers or way showers, and showing them how to actually, what to do with that, how to, sort of
how to take it to the next level.
That's it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so then we started on the awakening journey, I guess, and to connect the galactic side of things for the viewers here today. We started meditating and going in and doing lots of healing work on ourselves, and ETs kept popping in my meditations. And, for me, I wasn't exposed to any of this, and it scared me a lot. It frightened me, the fact that we had ETs. Oh my God, I was instantly, getting led to think bigger, think outside this planet. And then starting to remember who we are, why we're here, and what the mission was. And that just kept coming really loudly for us. And so we kept listening, and Pete saying to me, oh my God, are we going to be those people talking about ETs? And I'm like, yeah, I think we are. I think that's the mission.
It's a big pill to swallow. It really is. What's interesting though is, I was thinking a little bit about this and how I was going to frame it for some of my viewers. I actually have some friends that until recently did not even believe in ETs. And the reason they now believe in ETs is because, the Pentagon and the Navy is now like, these are actual sightings, and they've been going on for years. And we're just now telling you about that. But it is official, gavel on the desk. These things exist. We can't explain them. They've been around for a long time, and we have not been talking about it. Now we are. And this is the government now saying this, here in the US. And so a number of my friends were like, I never believed in this stuff before, but I guess now I do. You take it another step further, and do they interact with humans? My belief would be, if they've been around for a while, I mean, there's plenty of humans that claim that they have interacted with them. So my thought would be, yes. Is there technology that can help us? My thought would be, yes. Do they share it with us? Maybe so. I mean, what I experienced, I had a session with you, and it was pretty fantastic. I mean, yeah, it was pretty fantastic. I tell you what. So, but I would like to, so you were connecting, I guess, in your meditation with the ETs. How did things go forward from there?
So we were very vulnerable, stepping out for the first time, talking about our awakening was a huge deal with our family and our friends. Right. And then stepping out once again at another level, talking about galactic and star systems and species, different extraterrestrial species that are, connecting with us and giving us downloads. And then, just with the passion and the desire and the intention to connect further and further and learn more about this, I kept traveling with my consciousness up to the quantum field and being led by the ETs. Okay, this is the starship now, and this is the Galactic Federation starship here for help humanity and its elevation of consciousness at this time of the Great Awakening. So, every little time I went up there, I was getting shown a little bit more in my mind's eye. So what we're doing essentially, our bodies are staying here on this planet in this reality, and our light body is traveling to the quantum field. And then, little bit by little bit, when the trust between us was getting stronger and better relationship, and I could comprehend it on a human level without because that's the last thing they want to do is scare us, put fear in us. They want it to be a smooth flowing relationship. And obviously, our consciousness needs to be at that level to comprehend everything. So as we were elevating up, we were getting shown technology aboard the ship, and the Palladians were showing up, showing me what their names were called, what they looked like, what the technology did. And little bit by little bit, we were led to the med bed. And then they started saying, okay, guys, you are ready to get this out and start bridging the worlds, bridging Earth and the galactic for awareness for the planet, so we can start educating and, expanding the consciousness of individuals on the planet.
Wow. Well, that's fantastic. I mean, I sure felt, I felt so much better afterwards, and that went on for many days. And of course, the information that you gave me. I mean, I've never met you before, right? You're in Australia.
Yeah.
Right? And the information that you were coming up with is, it was a nail on the head. And it was valuable information, stuff that I needed to hear. Yeah. So thank you. And
you're welcome.
This is an amazing thing that you have going on.
Yeah, it's really profound. We feel very blessed to have this opportunity, and it's not just us that has the capability of doing this. Every individual on the planet can access the starship. There is many starships around the globe at this time, many extraterrestrial beings of high frequency ready to help connect and heal people. We're not the special ones. Everyone can definitely do this. It's just around, focusing on your inner temple, connecting to your heart, getting out of our brain, moving into our heart space, and having the desire to want to elevate your consciousness and become enlightened, become elevated with your frequency. Yeah. So, everyone definitely can do this. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So you have working, with coming up with a process to actually, so someone like yourself who's actually had the medbed experience and gone, wow, I actually felt that. Because a lot of people, initially are curious, but they're like, they get on the call and they're like, I'll just see what happens, right? And when you've got that intention of being open, and it's hard for some people when they go in there and they're like, I want this thing, or I want that thing, or, and they're too hard. It's best if you're open and you let the divine decide what needs to come out in the session. As you would have experienced, you get things you really need to hear. It helps to heal your heart. You notice you feel more higher vibe afterwards. That's what people notice after the session. But what we've been loving is taking someone who's then experienced it and said, you know what, you can learn to help your friends and family. This is a process. You can learn the process. If you do the work on yourself and learn the process in conjunction with it, you could use it to help your friends and family. And we're taking a group through that at the moment. And they're really getting towards the end of it now. So they're getting excited and they're starting to notice that they can tune into another person and they can pick up on this stuff too.
Wow. Yeah. So you have classes now available, correct?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we take the person. So you came to us and we did a med bed session, and
Right.
I know you're interested in doing this as well. But we walk them through. We do the healing and the upgrade, and some people need a few sessions. Some people might be elevated already and just want that frequency upgrade, and to connect with the quantum field, because it's a very powerful energy and frequency when we're up there. It's so different to the reality here on the earth. We're in a 3D consciousness here in this reality on this planet, and we're shifting the frequency on the planet and the humans of the individuals all around the world into higher states of consciousness. So our frequency is raising, okay? And so when we're going to the quantum field, the frequency up there is a lot higher than we are down here. So it's more powerful. The plasma and the cosmic light force energy is a lot more powerful for healing, and it just removes density quite easily. But we need to also, in the session, we have to have awareness around our emotional traumas. So we have to pull the weed out of the garden, so to speak, and get to where the emotional trauma or the false belief began. And the ETs help us and guide us for this healing while the person's in the med bed, because we can't remove the density from in the body without having awareness where the emotion was coming from. Yeah.
So you need to get the person at a higher vibration in order for them to be able to take full advantage and be able to tune in to the higher frequencies.
Yeah, and the assistance of the Palladium beings. We're working with the Palladium beings. So they are giving us messages while we bring the patient up to the med bed. So they're telepathically communicating with us, and they're guiding us where to go firstly on the body. And we can also tune into the person and let them know what's happening by verbally talking over Zoom on the camera. So they're here laying down, and we've got their light body in the starship in the quantum field. So everything that we do to the light body, we bring it back down through a Stargate and integrate it down into this physical realm. And then it integrates the frequency of the work that we do in the quantum field, then integrates into the physical body here. And it takes, sometimes people, feel it instantly, like you might have. Just depends. Everyone's different. Yeah. So over the next 2 to 3 days, we're integrating the frequency, and it's a gradual process. What we don't want is to overstimulate and burn out the circuitry in a human's body. That's the last thing we want to do.
Okay, that sounds right.
Yeah, it's really important that, we don't shift dramatically every day, do we? It's a gradual process.
I see.
Because of the elevation of frequency, our human body needs to, get used to all of these upgrades, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I just couldn't believe it when I was sitting down, laying down. I mean, this was definitely the most unique modality that I've ever experienced. And I felt an awful lot of it. And it really just, it baffles me how like healing energies they're non-local. Like I work a lot with Reiki and energetic modalities like that. And that still continues to blow my mind, because these days, most energy sessions are done virtually. And, I can often feel Reiki and I can recognize it. And sometimes I can tell whether it's one modality or another modality, because I'm pretty sensitive in that way. But yeah, this was different. I mean, it was the same in the sense that I could feel it. But it definitely had a little different sensation than, more traditional Reiki, I guess, if Reiki's traditional. Yeah, more traditional energy healing modalities, right?
Yeah. And, I think it's just evolution of consciousness, right? So we've used Reiki for a long time and energy healing in the room. And now our consciousness is growing and elevating, and we're able to telepathically communicate with someone on the other side of the world. Ever heard of those people that get the message and then pick up the phone and ring mum or dad back and say, hey, da-da-da-da. So we are so much more powerful than we have ever learned, because of we've just been held in a 3D density for so long. This reality, there's so much more potential for us and we have so much to learn. And it's all about tapping into those senses, our pineal gland. Most people don't even know what a pineal gland is,
Right.
So if we all start to learn of the capabilities of the full potential of us as individuals, we're so magical and powerful.
I think the reason why everyone is able to do this is because of that point that everyone is interconnected. So once people go through their awakening, and I'm sure you sort of remember when you started to have that awakening, where you just, and there's a whole series of things that happen, right? When you go through that. I mean, initially you start to realize that, hang on, is everyone just stuck in the game? Are they all just in the matrix going through their day to day? And once you realize that, you often really want to get away from it. Have you ever been in those situations where, friends or family are talking about, life, and they're complaining and they're bitching and they're talking about their money or their worries of politics or this and that. And you just go, oh my gosh, doesn't anyone want to talk about elevation or consciousness or, something exciting or expanding? And you start then in this, awakening process to want to consume information, right? That's the next stage. So you go, right, what am I going to learn? And you're like on YouTube or you're on Gaia or you're on whatever you go to. And you're watching this, you're learning that, and you're all excited and you just want to learn and learn and learn because you're still in that formative stage. And then eventually, if people go into it enough, and then there's all rabbit holes that you can fall down, right? You can fall down the QAnon and the conspiracies, and it's the cabal, and it's and everyone's out to get us, and all of that stuff. And you can go down that part and get kind of stuck in that as part of the so-called awakening, or it can become more what I would term a spiritual awakening. And the spiritual awakening is where you kind of go down that, but you realize it all circles back and it's actually all about self. The happiness and the contentment and the divinity that we're looking for isn't in Tibet or Nepal or, found here with this guru or that modality or whatever. It's actually just in here. And we've got to get ourselves out of the way, right? So we've got to get our old stories. We've got to get our ego construct, our personality out of the way and just stop for a minute and listen and go within and learn to tap into what is actually already there. And people hear that and they go, oh, okay, that's get out of the head, move into the heart, learn to be the observer. People hear, well, oh yeah, I've heard that before. Excellent, great. All right, yep, I'm going to do that now. And they're still in the mind, right? They're still, okay, I'm going to do that. And they catch themselves having a negative thought. No, don't do that. I'll try and be positive. And that, it's fake it till you make it kind of stuff. Right. And then they go, oh, I haven't got my vibration up. I've got to get my vibration up. Righto, I'll drink the green smoothies. I'm on the clean water. I'm meditating, and they're having somewhat success with that, trying to get their vibration up so that they can connect better. But this is where the person's starting to get on the right track. Because what then is the biggest thing from stopping your vibration going up is the density stored within your body. That's what the session worked on for you, Lauren. Went into how emotional, mental, things that happen in life get stored in our physical body, right? And anyone who's done reading would have heard of this before. Illness first occurs in the mind before it occurs in the physical body. And everyone would know that if they've ever had a really stressful day at work or they've got a lot going on in their life and they're tight in the shoulders or they're tight in the neck or they get a headache. I mean, they haven't been swinging the pickaxe all day. It's just that they've been mentally engaged in a state and it's affected their physical body. So when we're going through life and all these traumas happen, often there's no debrief when you're 3, 4, 7, 9, 12, 18, whatever, and something goes on, you store that in your physical body. And of course, what we do is we bury it. And we push it all down and we put on a happy face and soldier on and pretend everything's normal. And it's usually only when you're drunk or you're depressed or you're hungry or irritated, you go, right? And you're like, and people get angry or frustrated or overwhelmed. And it's not really that situation right there in their life. It can be a culmination of pressure from years of bottling stuff up. And we've all sort of heard of that before. So as you move, to bring it back to vibration, as you work on yourself and you remove the density, so you do the inner child work, you learn to clear those blocks out of your energy field. Can you see how removing that density is then going to help at an energetic level? You feel better. You don't have to positive think, you just are positive. And then of course, the vibration that you are means that you can then plug into higher vibrational information. Because if you're down here and there's information up there that you're wanting to plug into, the way to get to that channel is to get yourself on a similar vibration. It's a bit like the radio. You've got to tune the radio to the right channel. Our whole vessel, our being, is that station that we've got to tune to higher vibrational information. When you get to that on your spiritual awakening journey, that's where, so at a, let's call it the neuroscience then, is beyond just meditation, beyond alpha and theta levels of the brain, your brain's going into the gamma state. So when you're at the gamma state, it's the level of divinity. So that's where you can connect to the divine. Your crown chakra completely opens, and the knowings and the wisdom and that bliss that flows through, that gives you tears as you think of it. The whole feeling of that oneness that we talked about, finding that's within. That's this spark of the divine that you hear about on all the channels. Everyone's, you're a spark of the divine. And sometimes people think, I don't really feel like a spark. I'm not feeling real sparky. Because that's life, right? That's how your soul's growing. Your soul is growing through 3D, through the emotional pain and all of that stuff. That's not like meaningless, horrible obstacles to the growth. It is the growth. All of those things are necessary. Just like we need to be grateful for the beautiful sunny day and the sunset and the time with the family, we need to be grateful for the times where we felt like rubbish and we lay on our bed and cried because we've been betrayed or hurt or had wrong done by us. Our soul grows more in those moments than when you're having a really great day, right? Because it doesn't take a lot of depth to grow. So getting the vibration up is what the medbed experience sort of helps you to do. But this is why it's like a key in helping you in your spiritual awakening process, because it's helping your vibration to go up. And that's why you notice afterwards, you're saying even yourself, go, wow, I noticed it. Something's happened. It's the vibration of your being went up. And I know that was a long explanation of how it fits into a spiritual awakening, but it's important for people to realize, because when I work with a lot of people who have had an awakening, they feel stuck, right? They've watched the YouTubes, they've done the work, they did Reiki, they did breath work, they got in an ice bath, they've done all the different things, but they feel stuck, and it's because that answer then isn't, you got to go and do this course or this or whatever. It's you've got to do some like real work deep in here to release your own blocks, or really make a high priority getting your vibration up.
And the med bed can help with that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and also in that session, in the med bed, the frequency is upgrading our cells and our bones and our organs and our field, but we're also being led to certain ages where we can bring awareness to a situation that happened in your life. We're looking and entertaining when, our mum or dad didn't love us or didn't hug us, or we felt adopted our whole life, or we felt like the black sheep, or we felt alone. All of these feelings, they need to be honored and nurtured and brought back in. We can't ascend leaving part of ourselves back at 3 years of age. We have to go back and get that person, get that little girl or little boy and bring it in for the ascension. And that's what the ETs are helping us. That's the key. That's a gate. That's a key to higher states of consciousness, to bring ourselves back into whole.
I actually really want to help people get it, because it is so common to get people on the call who you don't need to convince them to awaken. that,
Right.
they've already awoken. They've already gone, okay, I'm awake, but they're stuck. A lot of them are stuck. They want a better connection to the divine. They want to feel more in flow in their day to day, and they don't know how to do it. They're sitting there going, maybe this galactic connection is the answer that I've been looking for. I've always felt like there was something more out there. I always felt like they were trying to get through to me or connect to me, but I didn't know how. And this is where we're sort of showing them how to bridge that gap and to connect. And when you first connect, you connect to the Palladians because they can bring their vibration down to a lower frequency closer to ours, but they help to bring your vibration up. And as your vibration goes up, you can tap into higher vibrational beings. Arcturians come through, Syrians might come through, you might get fifth to sixth dimensional light beings come through, archangels, and of course, feel source and the divine come through in a session, which when people do, they weep in the session, they feel that bliss, that energy.
Well, that's actually what I was going to hit on. I was curious as to what height in high vibration are the ETs compared to like angelic vibration or archangels and some of the other people entities, I guess, that you call on. And I assume there's like different tiers. And you just mentioned the Palladians are able to kind of lower their vibration to help bring us up. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Is there kind of a tier as to?
Most definitely there is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's got to do with how the session moves through and why we work with the Pleiadians, but it's like the Galactic Federation is a lot of different beings that have different ranges of vibration and different roles. And we find that for most people, the Palladians come through and they're the healers. They've got beautiful energy, caring, almost cheeky, jovial. They're like funny, right? They have this sense of humor. And it's a lovely energy for us because we're familiar with that, right? Because we sort of know it. At an energetic level, though, Palladians are so great in working with humans because they work in the higher fourth to fifth dimension. So they can more easily bring their vibration down to meet particularly someone who's awakened and open and wanting to learn to improve themselves and get a bit of an energetic connection and bring the person up. And for many in a session, they feel like their vibration goes up. I see a lot of people's chakras open, their energy field gets really, really strong and bright. And, sometimes it can be like off the scale. And it's so interesting when their vibration's up. This is then often when an Arcturian might come through or a Syrian being might come through. And the energy's different. It's there's still a lot of unconditional love there, but it goes from playful to profound and deep. And there's all this galactic lineage and ancient wisdom and love and grace. And it's like an overwhelming feeling of they like care so much and you feel so precious and special to them. And they work because you're in this high vibrational state with then healing you at a different level. There's different levels that we can be at where we can have different levels of healing. And a lot of people, when they're at that higher vibrational state, can then heal that feeling of, is there like something wrong with them? They have that feeling of being more at peace with, sometimes people feel like they don't belong here. Like, what am I doing here on earth? This isn't where I'm supposed to be, and that manifested itself in, what am I doing in this family, right? You had that growing up. Yeah. It was always like, what am I doing in this family? I feel like I'm adopted. I'm the rebel. I'm the odd one out. Like Roxy had all of those classic things that we see in so many sessions, people coming through. And then all of a sudden, you'll be getting towards the end of the session, your vibration's up, you're getting all this galactic wisdom and connection and knowledge. And then like an archangel will like come on through And it could be Archangel Michael or Raphael. Yeah. All right. I remember once I heard Mother Mary came through, and this grace just filled the session, and we both just started crying. This woman and I were like, "Oh, it's so beautiful!" We're going, and just to feel the vibration of that, you're in high fifth, sixth dimensional beings. It's like the level of like a collective consciousness, a level of super high vibration. And when that crown gets opened through those different healing techniques that we tap into, the feeling of the bliss and the divine and the true light, like almost feeling the connection back to source, because that's where we're all going back to. We can go back the long way and it's slow, or we can go back the direct way. And for people who come across this sort of information, and they even get led by their higher self to see an interview like this, if everything happens for a reason, they're probably an old soul. They're probably already going through an awakening, and they're already starting to listen to themselves, listen to their guides, be divinely guided, and they're hearing this information. And I'm sure it's making so much sense to them. Because, when you hear truth, it speaks to your heart, not to your head. Ever had that before?
Yeah.
You hear something and just go, oh, you feel it here, not up in
absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what Roxy and I had when we were getting led around this information. We're like, oh, we just got to do that. And then my brain would kick in. It's like, my friends are going to think I am absolutely crazy if at the next barbecue I say to them, you know what we're doing? We're taking clients up to the ship and getting the Palladians to work on them. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet, Rox.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. So like with the archangels or angels or like Mother Mary, I guess you can kind of feel their energy. They just kind of emanate that energy. When it comes to ETs, I guess they need a bed in order for that to happen. I mean, it just seems like there's a distinction there. With the angels, I always at least envision, and based on what I've heard, they just emanate energy, and some people can feel it, and it's energetic healing, and that's fantastic. But with the ETs, so they're like, well, we're not going to so much emanate that to you. We're gonna, how about if you hop in the bed? I mean, and then we can make that happen. Am I on the right track there, or is that really not the case?
No. So I get where you're coming from. So the ETs have a present, like our human species, we have energy. So you feel when someone comes into your aura field, okay? So it's the same with ETs. They're higher frequency, you'll feel their energy come in. So I'll be sitting here and all of a sudden I'll feel the energy of the Palladians being next to me when I tap into that energy.
Gotcha.
Okay, so when we're taking them to the quantum field, their beings can be a feeling or they can be light. So I see things in X-ray vision when we go to the quantum field. So I can see into the body, into the organs. So the med bed is actually just plasma light from the cosmos. It's high frequency light. The ETs aren't putting energy into it from themselves. They are holding their own presence and their own energy. So when we raise our frequency, you need to remember the Palladians are on an evolution of consciousness journey as well. So they are just, a few years ahead of us in time, in terms of dimensions. They're just a little bit ahead of us on their evolution of consciousness. We are in 3D, 4D, and tapping in and out of 5D consciousness on this planet right now. Okay, they are having the capability of fifth dimension to sixth dimension consciousness. So they can shapeshift, they can go in and out of star portals, they can travel interdimensionally from this solar system to another star system with their ET technology, and they can also offer healing modalities of high frequency. So the Palladians are coming from the Pleiades star system, which is made up of mum and dad stars and then the seven sisters. And the Targeta planet is where the Palladians that we're tapping into have originated from, and that planet is of six-dimensional frequency. So we're at three-dimensional frequency. So you can see the difference
Right.
in advancement of evolution of consciousness, and the magical mysteries of what this technology could really bring for us. We're very behind in terms of advancement and technology at this point, and that's okay.
Right.
That's why we've come back here, because we're all come back here to anchor more light, to raise the frequency, to help the planet. So when we get higher and higher, we move from 5th dimension to 6th dimensional beings. They can then transcend into non-physical. So
Gotcha.
think about an ice cube, and we're melting the ice cube and transcending up. That's essentially what Ascension is. Okay. We're going to be able to transcend up into light. Yeah. Pretty
That's
profound. Hey? That's what it is. I mean, does that simply explain?
And it explains why the true nature of the thing doesn't change. I mean, at a quantum physics level, ice is made up of the same stuff as water, which is made up of the same stuff as steam, which the thought of H2O, the thought of those stages we just discussed is made up of the same. Because if thoughts are real, if they could put electrodes on your brain and measure whether you're having a weak thought or an intense thought, what are they picking up? Something's emanating out. So the nature of that thought is made up of the same stuff as ice, as water, as steam. It's still H2O. It's just vibrating very, very quickly. You can't see it, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, because we pick up on thoughts all the time. So thought is real, and our vibration is unique. Like our DNA is unique, our fingerprint is unique, our iris is unique, our voice print, our vibration as a person is unique. So that goes some way to explaining how you can tune into another person without them actually being there at the physical level. You can tune into them energetically. It's still them, like the H2O. It's still made up of the same stuff. And it's not dead, so to speak. It's not in spirit form. It's in high vibrational form. So as we raise our vibration, the component of us that is solid, so to speak, call it the ice or the water, is getting less and less. And the component of us that's moving into, let's call it steam and thought and energy, that's like we're moving from our physical body to our energetic
Very
body.
interesting analogy.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
You're following me, because it's a good one. It's dropping in as I'm saying it.
Yeah.
But that is what's going on with us. Yeah. We're just moving form, but we're still the same thing in essence.
Right.